So I just wanted to show you guys something cool here. You have a deck of cards just behind me, highlighting all the different members of the social classes. And one thing to note is that here in Luxembourg, people would only marry within social classes. So they would not marry out of social classes. And yeah, so we also have a few of the things that were used in the schools. So there's a school desk, there's an abacus, which was used for arithmetic. And yeah, you have a few portraits as well here. And overall, it's a cool part of the exhibit. So here we're in a stereoscope room, and basically these are images which you can in a 3D sort of way, and you can see it was a very popular form of entertainment in the 20th century. What is interesting though is that with these, they would have pictures of the fortress of Luxembourg, because after 1858, it was dismantled. So sorry, it was dismantled in 1867, but before 1867, because it was a fortress, they didn't let anybody draw pictures of it or take photos because of the military censorship. But after then, they started taking pictures of it, and this became a popular form of entertainment for people to look at the fortress, at the ruins of the fortress as they dismantled it through these stereoscopes. Here you have something called artificial heaven, and if you look, you have just drugs and syringes. And the reason of this was created by the artist, it says, "I put together the worst rubbish, which represents the total enslavement of man, to create my signature window, which represents paradise." But it really is eerie to see all of these waste products, drugs and things. Check this out, guys. So we're on a balcony at the museum, and you can see the hilly terrain here in Luxembourg. It's so beautiful. So look at that. Incredible. After the Second World War in particular, Luxembourg was looked as the unification point of the European Union, because this is where they could complete all the rebuilding after the devastation of the war. And here you have their EU-themed room, and you actually have a lot of their concept buildings, which they were going to plan for like an EU hub, but it never happened, and I think Brussels was chosen instead. But yeah, it's still a really cool area to see, and that actually looks like the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, if I've ever seen it, so I thought that was really interesting. And then also here in this next room, you have everything that has to do with the Nazi occupation. So there's a bunch of posters there. You can see that was a symbol of the Nazis during their occupation, because they were occupied from 1940 to 45, I believe. So even though they were a neutral state, they still got attacked and were essentially occupied by German forces during the Second World War and the First World War. So guys, we got done with the permanent exhibit. Now I'm just touring around the temporary exhibit, but I'm not paying as much attention as I was prior because it's nice outside, so we're gonna head outside soon. But you also have a bunch of cool items from a more temporary aspect, so more recent time. What is this here? So this is the what the firefighters would have used for putting out a fire, so that you can see you have the hose there and the ladder, which is interesting to see. I'm gonna keep on showing you guys other things if I find any, but if not, it's just pretty much a museum of the city. Every city has their own history, and this happens to be theirs. The one thing that I was unable to find out is what is the signification, or what is the meaning of their flag, the three colors, but I'll probably ask later and tell you guys what it means. This is actually incredible, but they have a piano here, which I just played, and it's not a piano that is only for display. You can play it, and it literally says "play here, please," and it's a piano built in Luxembourg, so that's why it's in the museum. And that's amazing for me because I just get to play piano in a museum, which you normally don't get the opportunity to do. And yeah, so this the temporary exhibit for me is definitely really cool, and I would recommend it to anybody. And the last thing, or maybe not the last thing, but one thing I want to show you guys about this museum is it's so cool. There's an elevator the size of a room that takes you from the top to the bottom. So that's the first thing when you get to the very lowest floor, which is 963, the year after death. It takes you all the way down in the elevator of that size, and it's so cool because you can see all of the exhibits that you're about to see later on as you descend. And then here we just have some more posters, which are really cool. Actually, a lot of them are about the European Union. Each time there was a new country added, they have like a new poster about it. And it's also, I think, slightly connected to the war in Ukraine because, of course, the European Union, all of these associations that they make are to promote peace, but that's still not the case. And so now I have the story of why we have this temporary exhibit. It's because there are 100 posters from our collection selected by the public. So they have more than 2,500 posters, and the one that you saw that I was walking by were 100 of the ones that were selected by a vote, I assume. So it wasn't about the EU, sorry. It was just 100 posters that the people chose to be represented in this temporary exhibit. So we're just leaving now, guys, but the last room in the museum is a map of Luxembourg today. So you can see very beautiful, a lot of greenery, and look how beautiful this white room is with the gilded ornaments. But yeah, that was it for the museum, and I hope you enjoyed. So here we are in the Notre Dame Cathedral in Luxembourg. You'll see we have organs here, along the wall there, and in the back. So there's a lot of organs in this cathedral. And then behind me you have the stained glass at the front of the helm. So you actually have Jesus on the stained glass. And then that's the pedestal right there. It's very beautiful. And also all of these cities of Luxembourg have their shields, their crest along the ceiling. Even on this side. Let me get that for you. You can see. So it's, I guess, the national cathedral. It's the biggest cathedral in the country, and it is very impressive. So we're only at the front of it, but I'll show you quickly from behind me. It goes all the way back there, where there's more organs you can see. So a lot of audio visuals in this cathedral, and it's very impressive. From the outside, it's actually not that beautiful, I must admit. But in the inside, it's very, very well done. And yeah, so I don't think there's much else to show other than the stained glass all along the cathedral, which is incredibly impressive. And yeah, so this is the Notre Dame Cathedral of Luxembourg. Check this out, guys. You have the old part of the city here, and look at the elevation drop. It's incredibly impressive. As there are many different churches in Luxembourg, we have found ourselves in another one. This one has just one organ in the back, so standard design, and then a very ornate gilded display at the front. Then you have the post where one of the clergy members rests, and then actually I wanted to highlight this. You have the confession box with curtains and the pedestal. So yeah, a lot of churches here. This one is smaller than the cathedral we just saw, but still impressive nonetheless. So, yeah. I feel like these churches are nicer because it's not so big that you can actually see everything from each position. So you feel slightly more at home. It's more spiritual. Alright guys, so we're here on the bus and check it out. They have seat belts, so stay buckled in. Alright guys, so you can see the funicular system of Luxembourg, which is amazing to see. So I'm not sure kind of where it goes, but you'll see here that this is the terminal for the funicular. And yeah, we're in the European section of the city. Sorry, I haven't been able to get too many recordings for you guys, but it looks like there's gonna be a rainstorm coming in soon, so I don't want to get caught in that. But yeah, I'm not sure actually where the funicular goes, but if you guys don't know, it's kind of like an elevator train hybrid. So very cool. Let's see if I have enough time to quickly check where it goes. Alright, so there you guys have it. That's where it goes in that tunnel, but after that I'm not too sure where it goes. And then yeah, you see the tram just here beside us because that's where I'm going in a second with the tram. So yeah, there you guys have it. If you guys like to see, we have the buildings here. That's the Philharmonia, which is the building for the orchestra. And we went in, but unfortunately it's not open because there's no concert, of course.